I tell people one thing that I've learned about financial literacy is it's rooted in community, but that's really everything. In
Mhm.
everything you do, you have to find your community and you have to find that community because they will continue to encourage you and inspire you. I know that I would not have probably ever written a book if I hadn't have gone to that conference.
Welcome to the Published and Paid podcast, where we share book, business, leadership, and life lessons in 20 minutes or less to help you build a thought leadership brand and business. My name is Jasminewomack. I'm a former middle school language arts teacher turned seven-figure entrepreneur, and I am glad that you are here. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Published and Paid podcast. I am so excited for our guest on this episode. I'm bringing in Ashleigh Jade, CEO of Ashton Financial Services. I just cannot wait for you guys to hear all about her, what she's working on, and all of her new endeavors. So welcome to the podcast, Ashleigh.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on this podcast and to be able to chat with you.
You're so welcome. So please introduce yourself to the audience, to our listeners, and let us know who you are and all about your new book.
Yeah, so my name is Ashleigh Jade Searls. I am a CPA, and the name of my firm is Ashton Accounting Services. And the name of my book is Startup to Success: 7 Tax Savvy Tips for the Novice Business Owner. And my book is a practical guide for a novice, newer business owner to be able to follow to make sure that they're in line with the IRS guidance and compliance when they're starting a new business. And it's straightforward, it's simple, it's practical tips that I believe anyone can read, $19.99. And my whole goal with this book is I believe that information should be accessible to everyone if they're willing to read it and understand and then take action thereafter. So that was my whole goal in this book.
Listen, I cannot tell you, I'm pretty sure you know how much this information is needed because, there's just so many entrepreneurs or new people that are new to business that are unaware of how to go about managing finances, approaching taxes, and all of the things. So how long have you been in business, and how did you get into, doing what you're doing now professionally?
Oh my goodness. So my story is very interesting, but it's my story. So I started at FAMU. My sister went to FAMU and I started there. I stayed there 2 weeks and I told my mom I was ready to go home. So I came back home and I went to West Georgia. Then from West Georgia, I also went to Atlanta Metropolitan College for a summer. Then I went to Howard, but I ended up graduating from Georgia State University. And one of my first classes at Howard was an accounting class. And I just fell in love with the numbers. And then when I transferred to Georgia State University, I started going down the accounting path, working at small boutique accounting firms. And the first accountant that I worked with, he was an entrepreneur. He owned several franchises, and I was just intrigued by it. I always tell people conversations are very different when you talk to someone that's an entrepreneur versus someone that's an employee. And what I mean by that is there are, of course, employees that are inspired by their jobs, but across the board, entrepreneurs they walk in faith. Every walk is a faith walk, and they're so excited about what they're doing. And I always found that to be so inspirational. And it always created conversations. I wanted to help them. And once I figured that out, I was like, how can I help these entrepreneurs? Because when they would find out I'm a CPA, they were like, okay, I want to pick your brain. And when people want to pick your brain, they are serious. It's not going to be a 5-minute conversation. I want to pick your brain, Jasmine. So that's why I attended your conference because I wanted to know more. So when I started having conversations like that with entrepreneurs, I was like, let me start taking notes of what they're asking me. And consistently across the board, it was the same question. So I said, how can I package this and make it easily accessible for everyone and make it affordable. And I didn't want it to be technical. The book is not technical at all. You can consider it a conversation with your CPA homegirl or your friend. And that is what the book is meant to be.
I absolutely love that. Like, number one, you did not have like a just straight shooter path into, business ownership, entrepreneurship yourself. It was like you started here, you went there until you found, what your interests and what your gifting was, right? And then just through the work that you were doing, we call market research, you discovered that a lot of people had a lot of the same questions. And so instead of writing about what you wanted to write about, you wrote about what you found or what you discovered, were those most pressing needs, from the market research that had conducted. And so that's one of the things that makes, books very, very powerful. So another thing that you said was that you came to the conference.
I sure did. So you're talking about like the market research and me actually honing in on my message. I didn't get there until after I came to your conference. I believe we had met in passing before through my best friend LaShonda, because you know her. But actually, what inspired me to go to your conference is she contacted me one day and she said, I want you to come over to my house because we're going to do some brainstorming. Now, I tell everyone I'm not the best of friend. I'm 41. I'm not the best friend that you contact if you want to go to the club. I'm sleepy. I don't really like drinking that much. But if you tell me you want to do something related to entrepreneurship, I'm there. I'm finding somebody to watch my 3 kids. I'm coming over to your house. We pulled out the whiteboard and we were looking for inspiration websites. And she came across your page and I was like, hold up. I want to see more of her page. And I took note of your page. And then when I got home that evening after we did the brainstorming session, I went and perused your site and I was in awe of your brand, and I felt like it spoke to me. Like, this is what I really need to do, is write a book with all of these questions and provide it to people that need it. So it wasn't until I came across you and your page that I really knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I just want to make that clear, because I came to your presentation, well, your conference. It was the live 6-figure storyteller. I have it right here because it's been
Yeah.
on my nightstand, the workbook next to my bed for 2 years, because I was like, I have to finish this book. So I have to give you your flowers.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that was Six Figure Storyteller Live. I think that might have been back in 2022 because we rebranded it since then. But listen, I tell everybody that notebook is clutch. That workbook, and anyone who has ever attended any of our live events, they hold on to the workbook. But shouts out to LaShonda. Listen, LaShonda was grinding it out when we were in college, and she took photos. She bought her photo booth at that time. She had Event Photo Cube, and she bought her photo booth as an attraction to my first book launch. So shouts out to LaShonda because she's so creative and just and she's just such a sweetheart. But I know you were talking about, you came across the site, you came across the branding, but you got a lot of clarity that you needed to get or wanted to get at the event. I would really like to talk a little bit about that, because you have a background, you're a professional services provider, you're a CPA, and there are a lot of CPAs who feel like, writing a book it's going to take a long time. It's going to be extremely difficult and all the things, but you came and in 2.5, 3 days got a lot of clarity and then made it happen for yourself. So what were some of those things that helped the dots to connect for you?
Yeah, so one of the key messages that you talked about at that conference is, just like how I admitted, my story is not perfect. I went to several colleges, then I graduated. In my mind, nothing has to be perfect. but I am going to push it out and I'm going to get the message across. And that was something that resonated with me that you talked about is sometimes we wait for things to be perfect, but in essence, you can still have a message and stick to certain points that you hone in on. And my book is not some 200-page book. It's 89 pages. And there were so many instances where I struggled with, am I talking about enough? Maybe I want to explore this topic more. And I would say, no, let me make sure that I'm speaking to a novice business owner. And that's also what you talked about in this conference is you have to know who you're talking to, because I didn't understand that. I was just going to write a book. And I was so appreciative that I came across you and I came across this workbook and that conference because it really helped me figure out, okay, who am I talking to? I'm not talking to every business owner, because I've even had people when I talk to them about the book and the tips, they're like, people don't know that. And of course, if you're an established business owner and you have several businesses, you know some of these tips already. But it's also for a business owner who wants to come back and brush up on some things that maybe they forget, like what is the difference between a contractor and an employee? And why should I know that and be aware of that? This is
I
something
know
that,
this. I know experienced business owners who don't know those things.
so
Listen,
So that really helped me. Like, who am I talking to? I
yeah.
would say that was one of my critical takeaways when I left the conference is like, okay, I have to know who I'm talking to. And even when I was looking through the workbook last night, I had so many different titles and subtitles. And when I was looking back at them, I was like, that's why you have to write down things because you don't remember where your brain was at that time. But I was like, I changed it so many times to make sure that I was talking to a specific person and audience.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so, what results have you seen from your book since you've released it?
Yes. So I have to wait because my book is on sale with Amazon, Books a Million, several other Barnes and Noble. So, but it was originally published with BookBaby. So I can see all of the data as it tracks through BookBaby. But during the book launch, I was able to sell at least 100 copies. And now it's officially released. I've been able to secure interviews with NPR. I also had an interview this morning with a station. These are smaller stations that was in Texas. I have an interview coming up with a smaller station in New York as well. So it's really about still getting that message across to everyone that the book is out and available. But I definitely say that I would not have been able to launch this book without going to your conference and really making sure that I put the book out to the public so they know that it exists, because there's really no point in writing a book and then not being willing to tell everyone. And I would also say that the conference helped me, it encouraged me to talk to other book authors as well that were there. And I was able to, pick their brain too and talk about things that they did and maybe didn't work or did work. But it's always important. I tell people one thing that I've learned about financial literacy is it's rooted in community, but that's really everything. In
Mhm.
everything you do, you have to find your community and you have to find that community because they will continue to encourage you and inspire you. I know that I would not have probably ever written a book if I hadn't have gone to that conference.
That's so, so powerful. I'm thinking about like at the time of this recording, it's the end of January 2025, and
Mhm.
a lot has happened in the past 4 weeks. You know, just as it pertains to the U.S., right? Sometimes during, I would say, shifts in government, shifts in economic status, sometimes people might feel a little bit, what's the word? Unstable or trying to
Mhm.
figure out what's next. So
Yeah.
in times like these, how important do you think uh, financial literacy is, especially for our business owners who may be listening?
So I believe financial literacy is so important right now, especially with you talked about the changing in the administration. There's some laws. There could be some changes in tax laws coming, and you want to stay on top of that with your trusted advisor, financial planner, tax advisor, whoever that is. But I would also say that you have to make sure that you have someone that you can go to and talk to when all of these details are constantly changing, someone that you can trust and that you can rely on. And that can be hard for a lot of business owners. They don't know who to trust and who should file their taxes, all types of different compliance requirements. And I do talk about that in a book too. That's the second chapter. Like, who can you trust to file your taxes? Because I have heard some terrible stories about business owners trusting the wrong people and taking the wrong financial advice. So I also talk about requirements, certifications that are needed, interview questions that you can have. But these type of relationships are really built on trust and making sure that this person will be available to you as well. So I would say these type of professionals are worth their weight in gold. And I would tell any entrepreneur that counsel is always important. And when you're an entrepreneur, you wear so many hats. So you have to pull your time back and trust someone else to help you along the process. And it might cost you, but it will be worth it.
Awesome. That is such good and sound advice. And for anyone that's on the fence about, packaging their expertise and experience into a book, what advice would you give them?
Ooh, easily. I would say they need to come across your page, come across your website, do your membership webinars, attend your conference. You really are an expert on how to package your idea and put it in a book and become, move towards that being a thought leader, being a subject matter expert, and making sure that you hone in on the audience that you're speaking to. I think all of that is really, really critical to writing a book if you want to be considered a subject matter expert. You just can't write the book and think that it's going to fly off the shelves. It's not necessarily going to do that unless
Right.
you have a strategy behind it and a plan. And
Yes.
also, what I really liked about your conference as well is, of course, we talked about the workbook, but writing down all of the goals that I had, there's plenty of research that illustrates that when you write down your goals, you're more likely to achieve them. I mean, the percentages are like 1,000%. Just essentially just taking the time to write it down. And so I really enjoy just having that time away from my family where they weren't able to pull at me. I had that time away from my business where I could really focus on brainstorming and bring together, okay, this is the book I want to have. So that was really worthwhile too.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that because I do virtual workshops throughout the year. And oftentimes for the live event, people are like, "Oh, is this virtual?" And I'm like, "No, you have to come in person." And
Yeah.
one of the things that you just mentioned, that's one of the reasons why we host it in person,
Mhm.
because business owners are always busy, whether it's in the business or with family. And sometimes you have to press pause and take a moment to be poured into and take a moment for yourself and work on your business and work on your next level goals and
Mhm.
not just doing the work every single day. So that's so thank you so much for mentioning the importance as well of just taking time out to come in person.
So I will say we took, because LaShonda ended up coming with me to that conference, the live six-figure storyteller, and we turned it into a whole girls' weekend where we were like, okay, this is our weekend where we don't have our kids, but at the same time during the day we're working. So it really did turn into like a quick getaway.
Yes, 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 yes. And so it's not for everyone listening, so Six Figure Storyteller Live was a vibe, but we're taking it up a notch this year. We're going to be hosting Seven Figure Bestseller Summit.
Oh,
So
wow.
make sure that you check the comments for the wait list so that you can get first dibs on when tickets go on sale because it will be summer this summer when we're going to host the Seven Figure Bestseller Summit. So we're taking things up a notch. So
Well, I want to come.
definitely you'll be there because you're on a podcast. So I have something special for you guys. But listen, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Please let all of our listeners and all of those who are watching the video on YouTube as well and other other platforms that we're streaming to, let us know where we can find you on social, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatnot. Let us know about your book, how we can get in contact with you, how we can purchase a copy of your book. And for those who are listening, who are looking for a CPA, how they can get in contact with you.
Yes. So my website is www.startup2success.org, and you can find everything you want about me in the book there. All of the links to purchase the book are there. You can contact me. You'll be able to see the book launch video, and you'll be able to read the background on the book as well and learn more about me. And all of that is on www.startup2success.org. And again, I would just say that it is tax season. Tax season started this Monday, January 27th. And this was the first day for the electronic submissions to be accepted by the IRS. And tax day for individuals this year is April 15th.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And to everyone, we put all of those notes down here in the show notes down below, or in the comments of in the show notes of the podcast, so that you can have easy access there. And until next time, peace, love, and impact. See you guys on the next episode.